Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Give It a Year, my podcast diary with me, Jenny Q. This week's episode is called Little by Little, and I will explain that in a moment. Just a quick little blurb for anyone who's never been to my podcast before. This is a podcast diary, so it is a place where I share thoughts that are mine, original, and with the intention of providing maybe something a little uplifting, interesting, or hopefully unusual sometimes for you to ponder. It is just a place for you to come and visit. So, having said that, I do have 4 podcast promises. They're in the bio. Feel free to read them. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them and I will get back to you. And with that, we are going to shift into this week's episode called Little by Little. Oh, before I do that, who am I, if you've never been here before? I am an artist. I am an author. I am a Canadian. I am a sister. I am an aunt. I am a neighbor. I am a support worker. And a human being, I suppose. And a podcaster. And with that, let's go into this week's episode. Okay? Here we go. I'm still learning controls and stuff. Here we turn this down a little bit. Welcome. This week's episode is called Little by Little. And if you've listened to any of my other episodes, or you're that one dedicated person who seems to listen to all of my episodes, thank you. This episode this week is all about that thing that I seem to have trouble articulating what it is. I have a thing that I call my shares. I've finally given it a name. It's my shares. It's my 3 shares. And if you know my artwork, if you listen to my podcast, you know that I always put these shares. I put them on my social media posts. I put them everywhere. And the 3 things that I always say: share your smile, share your love, and share your laughter. And over the last few episodes of my podcast, I've gotten frustrated because I'm like, I don't know what to call this, because it's more than a philosophy. It is a philosophy. It is my belief system, but it's more than that. It is my guide on how I take action. And so I sat with it and I was wondering, like, why do I keep putting this on everything I do? Because it's what I do. And it's what I believe and it's what I live by. But why do I do it? And then I thought, and I realized that part of why I do art and why I write stories and I do storytelling and I do everything that I do is because I want to share, and I want to inspire people to maybe find the positive or find an alternative to being scared or unhappy or mad or angry or spiteful. You know, I'm not saying those things are wrong and they don't have their place, but I feel the world needs a little more space where there's a little more kindness, compassion, and goodness. And so those are my 3 pillars. So share your smile, share your love, share your laughter. And I'm trying to make today very short because it's on my textile products, it's on my art, and so I want to connect this for anyone who's curious about why I have it on there. So I guess it's a thing. It's a thing I want to do and create and put out in the world. So I really want to keep this under 15 minutes, and so I'm just going to hop in. So I made some notes, and the first thing I wanted to share, if you've never listened or know anything about me, where the whole shares thing came from. And I think that will explain a lot of why I created it. And it came and it was born from during COVID. Just prior to COVID, I wrote a book, a children's book, and it was published in 2019. And I was starting to reach out to schools and that to hopefully share my book and go read, and I had huge plans for expanding my book into a series. Never happened. But then COVID hit, and I couldn't do what I wanted to do. I couldn't go visit people. I couldn't do these things. So I converted what I wanted to do in my books into a short Facebook Live experience, because along with everyone else, there was no access to libraries or community centers or anything fun like that for kids, right? So what I decided is I created an online Facebook 3 times a week thing I created, and it was called Stories and Stuff, and it was me and my puppet, Willie. Anyway, that's another episode. We can talk about that. But it just evolved one day as I was thinking, I realized so many people were in isolation, so many people were scared, and so many people felt so alone. And I was thinking, what can we do? What can I help remind people that they can do so we don't feel so alone and so scared and so separated as we were? And the things we could all do with videos especially, which is awesome. We could smile at each other. We could still love each other. We could send messages. We could do kind things. We could send gifts. We could write notes. We could show love in so many ways. And we could share laughter. We could share jokes or share a video, or there's ways you could stream videos and watch videos together without being in the same room and that kind of thing. And that's where it came from. And it was very simple. Share your smile, share your love, share your laughter. Right? So that's where it came from. And it began with that shift in the world when COVID hit, the epidemic, the pandemic. And I needed connection because I lived on my own. I had recently come out of a marriage and was, for the first time in a long time, living on my own. And I needed that. So that's where it came from. Now, the problem is, as excited as I was to have created this phrase, at the time I thought it was just a phrase, as time went on, I began to feel that I was ineffective and invisible. I'm like, I keep trying to put this message out, but no one seems to hear it. It's kind of like, Dr. Seuss's book, Horton Hears a Who. The little who's on the little flower that Horton puts up to his ear. They're just these little specks on a little piece of dust on a flower, and they have such big voices, but you can't hear it because they're so little. And that's how I felt. That's how I feel. I feel like I have this amazing message, these amazing words that I want to share, and I can't because no one can hear me. But it doesn't stop me from trying. And so I keep putting it out there, and this podcast specifically seems to be a great, a great venue for me to sort of expand this out. And I don't want to digress because I want to keep this short. So I realized that's one of the reasons I would attach to all my art and all my posts, is I wanted someone to look at that and go, what do those mean? And I can say, well, we all have the ability to make our lives better by doing 3 simple things. We can share our smiles with each other. We can share our love with each other, and we can share our laughter with each other. And it really is as simple as that. And part of what I have done over the years is I realized that as correct as I am in what I think I'm thinking, the problem is I wasn't applying it to myself. And I think that happens a lot. And I think there's a lot of, there's a lot of good books out there and a lot of good resources to study. Napoleon Hill, Untethered Soul, Maxwell Maltz's Psycho-Cybernetics, another great book. The 4 Pillars. What is it? The 4 Agreements. Sorry, not the 4 Pillars. The 4 Agreements, another amazing book. And they all sort of come down to the same thing, that it's about your mind, my mind. It's about the mind. And I had to go into counseling for some things, and I started to realize I had inner dialogue. We all have inner dialogue. And that inner dialogue guides your life. And I'm not the authority. You can go find the people who have told you that, but I've studied the different people, and I'm just sharing what I've learned. And what I've learned is you are the authority of your mind. And the challenge is, though, that inner dialogue, more often than not, will say things that will cause you to feel fear, insecure, angry, mad, jilted, upset, helpless, invisible, all of those terrible things. And, there's a place for everything, right? So I started to try. So back before I started applying my shares to myself, I was suffering. I felt doubt. I felt shame. I felt insecure. I felt alone. I felt isolated. I felt a lot of very unsettling things. And when I started to apply these things to myself, I would share a smile with myself. And you're like, well, how do you do that, Jenny? Well, I've literally, based on some work I did with a mentor, every morning, literally, I would wake up and I would look in the mirror and I would smile at myself. I wouldn't say anything. I would just smile at myself and get comfortable with my face and my body, and I'd see myself and I'd just smile. And then to share my love, I found ways to reduce and replace my negative self-talk. My negative self-talk included things like, I'm ugly, I'm unwanted, I'm unlovable, I'm unwanted. And I've learned to replace them with phrases like, I matter, I'm smart, I'm creative, I love myself, I am worthy, I am enough. And then I applied the share some laughter. So I would find things that make me laugh. Comedy. I would hang out with some kids at work and they would make me laugh. I would find dad jokes and I would share them with people and that would make me laugh. And yeah, it was good. And all I'm going to say is I did this. I started applying my 3 shares to myself over the last couple of years. And it changed my life. It really did change my life. A few years ago, I was alone, living in the basement of a house after my divorce, disconnected from my siblings in a way, just not fully disconnected, like I talked to them, but I didn't feel connected to them. I felt invisible with my art. I felt so many things. And since I've been doing this, I have now found the man I'm in love with. I am in love with my partner. We have a home. And I am rebuilding and deepening my relationship with my siblings and other family members I've connected with, cousins and nieces and nephews. I've had some closure with some grief of losses in my life, and I've created tools to help me navigate my insecurities and my anxieties that I do still have. And I've come to celebrate that I am an artist, and regardless if I have immediate responses to what I create is my legacy. And maybe someday it will make a difference. And someone will hear this and someone will listen to my podcast and someone will see a painting I created, or someone will have purchased an ornament or done a workshop, and being in my workshop gave them a chance to see themselves in a different light. You know, all of these things, they matter. And as much as I was spouting out to everyone else, this is what you need to do, I wasn't doing it for myself. And now that I do it for myself, my life has changed. And I'm not telling you all this so you all can be like, woohoo, great, exciting. No, I'm telling you because this is why I do this. This is my purpose. And so when someone now asks me, what is the 3 shares all about? What is this thing? And what it is, the 3 shares, it is an abbreviated articulation of my purpose in life. And that is, my purpose is to create pockets of positive space in a world that seems to progressively be getting darker, heavier, more filled with anger and division and politics and fear and things that are out of our control. And I think when the world can get like that, it gets forgotten that within your own world, within your own literal space, you have control over 3 things. And you can do 3 things to make just even that moment in the chaos and in the darkness better. You can share a smile, you can share some love, and you can share some laughter. And I've heard different stories of people who were in concentration camps during World War II. And they say that's part of what it was. They would go in their mind and they would remember someone who smiled or loved them, or they have a purpose, or they would think about what they were going to do when they got out of the camps, or, but they had to have that core of a smile, love, or laughter in their heart to carry them through. And it's very, very powerful. And I think people underestimate the value of who they are just by being who they are, not being a social media influencer, not by getting a gazillion likes, not by being seen on a public platform. There are stories of people who have saved people who are strangers just by saying hi to them, and they were on their way to jump off a bridge to kill themselves, right? It could be the difference of saying I love you and someone just needing to hear it. Sorry. This is very important to me. This is why I'm doing this podcast. And so I'm going to wrap up, and I'm going to just say the reason I called today's episode Little by Little is little by little, if we all did this every day, if little by little we all shared one of the three shares, if we all shared a smile or shared some love or kindness, we call it, replace it with kindness. Share your love, share your kindness to yourself and to others. And if we all shared a little bit of laughter, it's contagious. It's just as contagious as the fear and the anger and the hate and the division that's going on in this world. And I hope that what I do in creating these little pockets of positivity through my workshops, through my art, through my podcast, that one person at least, one or two people hear it, and for just a moment, it maybe brings them peace, joy, or a smile. And I realized recently that I don't get to see that. I don't need to see that. I just need to trust and have faith that what I do does matter. And because I apply the three shares to myself, the share of my love, my self-love, I do know it matters. And that's why I keep showing up, even though I'm not popular, I'm not flashy, I'm not trendy, I'm not into the whole AI thing. It's about person to person. I do like AI. It's not my thing. And that's okay. So, yeah. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up, but just by saying I am no guru. I'm just a woman who understands that these three simple things, they make life better. And if you choose them, your life will be good and it will get better. And when your life is good and get better and you live by example, other people will see it. And then they might choose to do the three shares and so on and so on, right? And I know from experience the world is heavy right now. So I'm just trying to balance it out with some smiles, with some love, and then with some laughter. So I am going to finish today with our question and bring some music back. There it is. I like today's music. So today's question, it's more of a reflection for you to take home. How many ways have you shared a smile, some love, or some laughter in the last 24 hours? And was it with yourself or with someone else? Or both? Maybe you're an overachiever. Anyway, I usually end with the share your smile, love, and laughter at the end, but that was kind of the whole episode today, so I won't do that. But I will thank you for coming by. I will thank you for listening. And if you're listening to this because you were trying to figure out why that logo's on my shirts or on my art, and why I have those three little emojis of the smile, the heart, and the laughter, this is why. Because I want it to help spread those three things. I'm just trying to infuse some happiness into this world and make a difference. That's it. Have a great night, afternoon, morning, whenever you're listening to this. And I'll be back next week with another episode in my podcast diary of Give It a Year. Take care.